Assembly Member Johnson.
Thank you. I completely support your call that these franchises need to be devolved to TfL and for London to directly take control of the situation. But that is going to take time, and I do wonder what sort of leadership you're providing on this issue now.
Let me give you some examples, Darren. Obviously we're in constant touch with Network Rail and the train operators. We're trying to make sure that all our customers have information about where the congestion is and how to use alternative routes. TfL has deployed additional staff from the special requirements team at stations affected by the London Bridge works. We are increasing staffing where it's necessary to cope with the greater flows, so staff have been deployed at Elephant Castle, at Waterloo, at Southwark, New Cross, Canada Water and Victoria, and we're trying to help people across the network to reroute.
But it's not working, is it?
And obviously we are laying on bus services where appropriate to try and cope with the problem. So TfL is absolutely there, dealing with the problem as you would expect, because we take full responsibility for managing the network that we're in charge of.
Yeah, but do you remember back in 2012 and the Olympics? It was an absolute triumph for London in terms of efficient and effective management of the public transport system.
TfL was in charge.
Right across the board, and we were told that so many lessons had been learnt from that could be applied to future situations, not just in terms of crowd management, not just in terms of public information, but actually in terms of TfL and the different rail operators working together to actually come to a solution. Why is that not working for London Bridge?
To be actually, your memory is not wholly perfect, because there were in the run-up to the Olympics there were serious anxieties, and there were some things that went wrong. And we addressed them, but we addressed them by bringing people together. And the problem that we've got at London Bridge is that they have, I think, grossly underestimated or overestimated the benefits that they would achieve by the signalling, the re-signalling that so far put in. And they are seeing they're not able to deliver the numbers of trains that they were expecting, and there is frankly a cock-up, and we need now to manage that, and we need to have clear understanding of what can be achieved. The point the broad point I'm making, and I think it's one that Val certainly accepts, is I think that this is largely caused by the kind of drift you get when basically the thing is being run by a bureaucracy without the political terror that is necessary to drive change and improvement. When we had the Olympics, everybody was conscious that when everybody started to arrive in London at the end of July, we had to get our city ready. And that was a massive imperative and a spur to cooperation, to exertion, to getting things done together. You're not seeing that at the moment, I'm afraid, at London Bridge. And I think that one of the problems is there's no overall political control and no oversight, and that's what we'd like to see.
I know the situation is a mess. I'm not seeing much in the way of political leadership on behalf of Londoners from you on this. If you had, I've checked your diary, it appears you've had 3 meetings on this since January, 2 with Network Rail bosses and 1 with the Secretary of State for Transport. Is that really enough, given how many times this has been on the headlines of Evening Standard?
That, I'm afraid, is an underestimate of the number of meetings I've certainly had with Patrick McLaughlin about it, and you'd expect me to have regular conversations with Patrick as I do. And by the way, there are constant meetings now going on between Isabel, between TfL, between Peter Hendy, between everybody, and Mark Kahn and Network Rail to try and sort this out. But as I say, I think the silver lining, and it's a very considerable one, is that it will lead to further devolution to London. I think people are seeing the the political imperative to have a central locus of accountability, and that's got to be democratically accountable.
And we are absolutely all around the whole chamber completely at one on that. We certainly want the evolution of rail services to TfL.
Well, with you on my side, who can lose, Darren? You know,
absolutely.
It's going to be fine.
But Londoners know that is going to take some time, and they are wanting to see more leadership from you as mayor on this issue. Well, you find time to visit the States, to visit Kurdistan, to have lunch with Rupert Murdoch, to unveil a statue of a horse in Trafalgar Square. You found time for loads of things. I think you need to put your mind onto the issue of sorting out London Bridge.
Can I tell you it's interesting that what that horse, very interesting that you should raise it, very interesting that you should raise it, what that horse in fact stands for, well, he's objecting to the statue of the horse. I'm not
objecting to the statue of the horse.
And indeed, as the horse was...
The statue of the horse, of course, stands for...
Does the horse have a right to reply?
The horse does not have a right to reply, but it does seem that you were levelling a criticism at the mayor, and he is allowed to respond to it.
Thank you so much, Roger. The horse, of course, represents in its skeletal form, that skeletal horse represents transport infrastructure and the vital tubular structures that run beneath the surface of any great and beautiful city. And it commemorates the huge investment that we're making in the tube. And
I think a few horses at London Bridge might work better than the train services at the moment.
The pity of it is that we are not given control, and here I think you and I are at one, Darren. The pity of it is that we are in City Hall not given more control over the suburban rail services that we need in order to deliver happier outcomes and faster outcomes at London Bridge.
Assembly Member Cleverly.